Goldie Hawn has long been known as Hollywood's Golden Girl, a woman whose laughter and charm seemed to define an era of American film. From her first breakout performances in the late 1960s and early 1970s to her legendary roles in comedies that made audiences everywhere laugh, Goldie became synonymous with joy, light, and the magic of the silver screen. Yet behind the smiles and the laughter, behind the perfect hair, the sparkling eyes, and the infectious energy, there was a world that the public rarely saw. A world of cruelty, frustration, and subtle, calculated humiliation that she experienced from some of the very people Hollywood celebrated. At 79, Goldie finally opened up about her personal encounters with 6 actors who left her deeply hurt, frustrated, or outraged, people she now refers to as the most difficult figures of Hollywood's golden age. The stories she shared are remarkable not because of scandal or gossip alone, but because they reveal the quiet strength, resilience, and dignity she maintained in the face of behavior that would have broken many. The first name on her list is Bill Murray, an actor whose unpredictable genius made him a legend, but whose behavior in one unforgettable incident left Goldie feeling humiliated and angry enough to vow never to work with him again. The story takes place during a table read in the late 1980s, a time when Hollywood studios were experimenting with ensemble comedies. On paper, pairing Goldie Hawn, known for her warmth and impeccable comic timing, with Bill Murray, famed for his improvisational genius and quirky unpredictability, should have been a dream combination. But as soon as Murray walked into the room, something felt off. He arrived nearly an hour late, rumpled and casual, carrying a half-empty coffee cup. He made no apology, casually dropped the cup onto the script pages, and declared, "Now we can start," with an air of careless authority. Goldie, who had always prided herself on professionalism, felt a chill run down her spine. From the very first moment of that reading, it was clear that this encounter would not be ordinary. As the table read progressed, she performed her lines with the same warmth and timing that had made her one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses. But Murray interrupted her mid-scene with a sharp, cutting comment. "Why don't you try acting like you've done drama before?" The men in the room erupted into laughter at what they perceived as harmless joking. Goldie did not laugh. She quietly closed her script, rose from her chair, and walked out without a word. That silence, deliberate and unyielding, carried more weight than any argument. By the next morning, her team informed the studio that Goldie Hawn would no longer participate in the project. No interviews, no explanations. She simply disappeared from the set. That single incident changed her perspective on working with volatile, so-called creative geniuses who mistook cruelty for brilliance. Goldie learned to prioritize peace, respect, and dignity over chaos, and she made a personal vow never to repeat the mistake of tolerating public humiliation. Years later, when asked whether she would ever work with Bill Murray again, she answered with quiet decisiveness, "No interest." The second name on her list is Warren Beatty, a man whose charm, influence, and power made him one of Hollywood's most formidable figures. In the late 1970s, at the height of his fame, Warren pursued Goldie relentlessly. He invited her to dinners, private parties, and even his Beverly Hills home. In Hollywood, such attention from a powerful man was understood to carry unspoken expectations. Goldie, however, was gracious, funny, and completely unmovable. She declined his advances politely but firmly. Almost immediately, she noticed a subtle shift. Promised roles vanished, meetings were canceled without explanation, and projects she expected to lead were reassigned to others. Directors and producers who had once praised her work grew quiet. One whispered, "Warren says you're difficult, not serious material." It was not a dramatic confrontation. It was a slow, calculated campaign to punish rejection. Goldie did not confront Beatty directly. She understood the power dynamics at play and chose to respond in her own way. Years later, the two crossed paths at an awards show. Beatty approached with his signature charm, as if nothing had ever happened. Goldie met his eyes, smiled politely, and then turned her back mid-sentence. There was no scandal, no confrontation, just quiet, devastating dismissal. These early experiences shaped Goldie's approach to Hollywood. She learned that maintaining dignity often required walking away rather than fighting, and that strength sometimes meant refusing to participate in the games of power, ego, and manipulation that were all too common in the industry. Her encounters with Bill Murray and Warren Beatty taught her lessons about respect, patience, and the quiet assertion of personal boundaries that she would carry for the rest of her career. The third name on Goldie Hawn's unspoken blacklist is Dustin Hoffman, a man widely regarded as a genius of the craft, someone whose talent and reputation were beyond dispute. Goldie once admired him and looked forward to collaborating on a prestigious drama in the early 1980s. By then, she had proven herself capable of making audiences laugh, but she also wanted to explore deeper emotional roles, showing she could make viewers not just smile, but feel. The project paired her with Hoffman for the lead role, and everyone in Hollywood expected sparks, though not the kind that would leave lasting bitterness. During the audition, Hoffman abruptly stopped mid-scene, stared at Goldie with a cold, expressionless gaze, and told the producers, "She's still playing it like a sitcom." The words hit hard, sharper than any physical slap could. Goldie did not react outwardly. She finished the scene with grace, thanked everyone in the room, and walked away before anyone could respond. The next morning, she called her agent and said simply, "I'm out. I won't fight for respect in a room full of men who already decided I'm a joke." That calm declaration was her ultimate revenge. By walking away, she exposed Hoffman's arrogance rather than her own limitations. It was a masterclass in quiet resilience. The fourth name is Chevy Chase, whose comedic talent was undeniable, but whose on-set behavior could be unbearable. In 1978, Goldie and Chase co-starred in Foul Play, which looked like the perfect match on camera. However, off-camera, Chase's attitude was entirely different. He would mock lines, derail takes, sulk when Goldie received bigger laughs, and mutter under his breath, "She's lucky to be here." Despite the millions of dollars at stake for potential sequels, Goldie chose to prioritize her peace of mind over financial gain. "If I ever have to smile next to Chevy Chase again, I'll quit Hollywood," she confided to a friend. And she did. The fifth on her list, Sean Penn, shocked Goldie with his public disrespect. It was 2014, long after she had become a Hollywood icon, and she was invited to a charity gala in Malibu to give a heartfelt speech about mental health, a cause she had devoted much of her life to. As she took the stage, the room fell silent except for Penn, who sighed audibly, rolled his eyes, and muttered, "Another celebrity wellness sermon." When her speech concluded and the audience applauded warmly, Penn leaned back and said dismissively, "She should stick to giggling." Goldie smiled politely, lifted her glass, and left the event early. "My whole career," she said later, "and I'm still reduced to giggles." From that night on, She avoided any event where pen was present. She was not angry, she was done. These experiences, while painful, also illustrate her immense strength. Goldie understood that she could not control the actions of others, only her own response. By refusing to participate in environments that demeaned her, she maintained both her dignity and her peace of mind. Through these encounters, she demonstrated that standing firm, even in the face of arrogance and cruelty, could be more powerful than confrontation. Each of these actors, Hoffman, Chase, Penn, taught her lessons about boundaries, self-respect, and the quiet strength required to navigate an industry dominated by ego, power, and unpredictability. Finally, the sixth name on Goldie Hawn's list is Kirk Douglas, a legendary figure whose influence in Hollywood spanned decades. Unlike the others, Douglas was not loud, brash, or notorious for tantrums. He was respected, even revered. Yet Goldie's experience with him revealed how even subtle behavior could undermine a woman's presence and achievements. In the late 1990s, during an industry panel, Goldie was invited as a seasoned actress, Oscar winner, and producer. Douglas greeted her warmly, kissed her hand, and joked, "You haven't aged a day, sweetheart." On the surface, this seemed harmless, even flattering. But as the panel progressed, Douglas repeatedly interrupted her, finished her sentences, and reclaimed the spotlight in a way that made it clear he still viewed the stage as his domain. Each interruption reminded her of how easily accomplished women could be overshadowed by powerful men, even icons. Goldie handled it with poise, yet the experience left a mark. She remained warm toward Michael Douglas, often praising him as the kind of respectful man Hollywood needed. But she never spoke of Kirk again. Some men, she later reflected quietly, don't deserve a second act in your memory. Across these 6 experiences, Bill Murray, Warren Beatty, Dustin Hoffman, Chevy Chase, Sean Penn, and Kirk Douglas, Goldie Hawn demonstrates a remarkable principle: the value of dignity, calm, and self-respect in an environment where ego, power, and cruelty are common. She chose to walk away, to preserve her mental health and integrity, rather than engage in destructive confrontations. Goldie's stories also shed light on the hidden challenges women have faced in Hollywood, reminding viewers that behind the glamour and the laughter, real struggles often go unseen. By keeping silent for decades, she maintained her career, her peace, and her reputation, revealing only when she was ready the truths of her experiences. Her reflections are not just Hollywood gossip. They are lessons about personal strength, boundaries, and resilience. As audiences, we are left with questions. Which of these 6 figures shocked us most? Could we have handled the pressures of the studio system and personal attacks with the same grace? Goldie's life story, from the joy she brought to millions to the quiet battles she endured, is a testament to courage, integrity, and the strength required to survive and thrive in an industry built on appearances, egos, and relentless scrutiny. Her narrative is one of inspiration, a reminder that even in the face of injustice and disrespect, one can choose dignity over drama, calm over chaos, and self-respect over approval. Through her experiences, Goldie Hawn leaves a legacy not just of laughter, but of strength, poise, and an unwavering sense of personal worth, a lesson that resonates far beyond the glimmering lights of Hollywood.